be mainly speaking about past and current state of the art, and then we'll switch to the future. Well, I was giving this talk 3 years, well, not this talk, but the talk about veraPDF 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and while it was still a very active project under, well, EU funds. And I'm very glad the interest is still here, so there are enough people who are not yet bored with the words veraPDF. So thank you for coming to this talk, and I hope you will see something new now. So a very brief history of what is veraPDF, although many people here know it very well probably, but just a summary. So veraPDF is a so-called PREFORMA project. So PREFORMA stands for Preservation Formats for Culture, Information and Archives. And that's a EU-based project under FP Framework Program 7 ICT. So essentially, we were lucky that we got funding enough to develop yet another new validator. The project's main, like the PREFORMA project's main aim was to address the challenges of preservation communities and memory institutions. They have validating various formats, and PDF-A is one of the typical formats they get. So the idea was that there should be something open source, free to use to all memory institutions. And the website is still here, although the project is completed formally in December 2017. So I have to be close, yeah. It was clear from day one that there is, well, it's not sufficient to have a single body to cover this goal, and there was a, well, we formed a so-called veraPDF Consortium. It was led by Open Preservation Foundation on the side of memory institutions, and by PDF Station on the side of PDF industry. And well, the OLAP I represent here was chosen to be the main lead developer. So we were developing the code. As well as there were other partners, Keep Solutions and DPC, who were doing integration and research and testing and review the code. Well, PDF validation, so what was developed as a result of this project? So there was a full PDF-A validation with all support of all versions and levels. There's a new corpus developed on top of Isartor and BE4 and Bavaria, some existing test suites, and this new one contained well, quite a lot of files, over 1,000 files newly created, and it comes as a Java code with some desktop application, command line, and web REST API. So whatever, who wants to use it, they are free to choose their ways to integrate the product. And actually, all of these ways are used as far as I know. So some of the companies want to open a single file to test via desktop application. Some would want to have some CLI interface and process large collections in a separate process. Some would go and integrate it directly into their Java applications via some API. And REST API, surprisingly, we were not expecting this initially, but REST API is also heavily used for integration. As this is a publicly funded project, everything that has been developed comes under very permissive licenses. There is a very special case here to have a dual license. Both licenses are actually open source, so Mozilla public license and GPL license. And a typical question is why one would need two open source licenses here. And the reason we learned after several iterations with other PREFORMA members is as follows. So essentially, MPL is as permissive as you would want to have, so it allows you to grab the code and do whatever you want with this code, while GPL is less permissive, so it guarantees that some version of the file or of the library stays forever. So GPL is aimed for a long-term access to the source code, so to say. And MPL is aimed for a variety of integrations. So dual license means that essentially you can choose whatever you want. And test data sets and documentation are, of course, licensed under CC BY, so Creative Commons library, Creative Commons license. That's a screenshot. Some of you may have seen that just to show how the desktop application looks. I'm not going to give you any demos today, so feel free to go to verapdf.org and see the product and download the version you might be interested in. So this was the past. The PREFORMA project, as I mentioned, finished officially in December 2017, and we actually spent last half a year doing acceptance testing via quite elaborate methodology. But we are happy that the project is completed, and we are now in possession of software that we would be able to develop and further if we wish. And if you wish, we can stop right now and just say it's all done and turn the page. So current state of the art. So this is VNA 5 months after the project is officially terminated. So what happens right now? So we've got the latest release just 5 days ago. And I listed a few things here that were included into this release. Most important and was requested multiple times from us was multi-threading support, which means actually that the product is now used heavily in the processing of very large collections. And there are indeed requests, like French Ministry of Justice says that they want to quickly process a few million of PDF files. So please make this tool as performant as possible. These are typical requests we are now getting. So we spent most of our time doing support, meaning fixing minor things here and there. So users still compare the tool with the existing validators. Here and there are differences. Sometimes these are our faults, so we go and fix the code. Sometimes these are questions for discussion. I'll come to this later. So of course, the support for ISO 32K Part 2 was added, although there are no PDF-A standards based on it, but veraPDF does a few more things. So it is able to characterize files, so it is able to extract existing features from PDF files, and due to changes, well, not many changes were important for veraPDF, but like encryption changes in low-level syntax here and there, changes in tagged format structure. So this has been supported. And of course, well, one of the ideas behind veraPDF was that memory institutions would go and create their own policies on top of PDFA. So some of them would want, for example, to forbid, say, JPEG compression, for example. So far, we haven't seen a lot of interest around this area, which means that probably PDF-A requirements as a package look most appealing to most easily integratable into the typical workflows of memory institutions. And as I mentioned, there were multiple fixes, so we are not claiming that the software is dead, so there are issues to fix. Although we are glad to see that none of these issues were related to the validation concepts. So so all the fixes were so those types of fonts were sometimes parsed incorrectly, and this had to be fixed. we enjoy right now, and this is what's happening today, we enjoy great support from PDF industry via PDF Association. This is done mainly via so-called PDF Association's Validation Technical Working Group. So it operates since very early days of PREFORMA project since December 2014. And very recently it conducted its 36th meeting. So just imagine there are 36 times a group of experts who met online via GoToMeeting, and usually we discuss various questions around PDFA requirements. So all these discussions are not specific to veraPDF implementations. They are really generic to how formats are written and what they really mean. One of the visible results of this activity was so-called Technical Note 010, clarifications of ISO 1905 parts 1-3 for developers of PDFA creators and validators, which already contain 20 different clarifications of things which might lead to ambiguities on different understanding between implementers of PDFA format, both on the side of creating PDFA files or processing PDFA files. And just to give you an idea, there are about 20 of such questions or ambiguities are still under discussion, so we expect that we either publish a second part of this document or start doing it in a smarter way, like with a continuous update. So about 7 more ambiguities under study. What is really important that some of the members of this technical validation group then take part in ISO meetings on the newly developed standards. In particular, there is a PDFA4 standard under development by the corresponding ISO working group. And many of these ambiguities end up to be comments, and some of them will also result in changes and updates and better wording and notes and some other changes in the coming PDFA4 standard. Just to list you, this is a marketing thread, so I'm not supposed to be very technical here. But I see some technical people in the room, so I'm listing a few of the questions which are discussed right now. And so it's like type 1 fonts and PFB format, what is an identity to Unicode map and how to specify them correctly, non-breaking space, how it is different from space, and so on. So there are many of these questions, so I mentioned they will be submitted, and some of them are submitted or right now under discussion to the ISO committee. So this is, I have to mention that although this technical working group was created, to align initially with the PREFORMA project, so even it still continues its meetings. It's still operational right now, and there is no intention, at least at the moment, to terminate it. So a main question, and this is a common citation I had multiple of times from various sources. So the question is whether, it's just a EU-funded project, so it's normally that after the funding is finished. So is it also what will happen with veraPDF? So far we are not finished with this project. Meaning we both OPF, Open Preservation Foundation, and DOLAP continue to support which means we continue to address bugs reported on GitHub. So all sources are on GitHub, and we get here and there issues reported on GitHub. We often get also small new feature requests, and we maintain mailing lists, and I also accept all direct mails to me personally with issues related to veraPDF. So we keep fixing things if they are not right at the moment. So this, this is at least we have a commitment to continue like this till the end of 2019, and we'll now start discussing the future. There are a few more slides before the future. So there are some veraPDF based applications that appeared as custom projects, and at least this is the ones we are aware of. Well, this is an open source library. We are not aware of most of applications of the code, but some of them are done in collaborative manner. One of the most interesting collaborations we had, and still it's still ongoing discussions. This is with partnership with Logius, the digital government service of the Netherlands Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations. That's an official name. I copied from the website of Logius, and we've implemented a few projects they funded, which I find particularly interesting. So one of them is to check all PDF files at a specific domain for their conformance with PDFA standards. So this is a way to check the quality of a certain governmental website. So in many countries, including the Netherlands, there is a requirement that all officially published documents have to conform to open standards, whatever it means. And one of the most important open standards for PDF would be PDFA. So again, that's a publicly available link, logius.veraPDF.org. So if you want, you can check which documents are published on your website. Just go type your domain name, and all PDF files which are publicly available at your domain will be checked for the conformance with PDFA, and you will get a report. Another thing is to check how good are open source converters from Office documents to PDFA, and in particular, there is an application available again at a different URL here that does a conversion of any Office document, including Mass Office, Open Office documents, to PDFA 1A via LibreOffice engine, the one which is again freely available, and double check this with veraPDF. And surprisingly, here and there we see some interesting issues, and we try to collaborate also with LibreOffice developers to fix them. So in a way, veraPDF helps to improve open source tools to generate valid PDFA documents today. Another open source project I wanted to mention here is Zugfert project. So Zugfert is, well, we've heard, most of us have heard what is Zugfert. So there is a plugin developed on top of veraPDF to validate embedded XML files against the Zugfert specification. Again, this is an open source initiative, and it is already available online as a tool. Well, I give a GitHub link here. So if you want to check, well, to integrate, so you have now a veraPDF based tool for Zugfert validation as well. Yeah, and this is just a screenshot of the report, or the visual part of the report developed by the Logius web crawler application. So it shows that around 11.4. So 11.4 files on pdfa.org are valid PDFA documents. So future of veraPDF. So what do we do next? Do we just continue the support, or do we want to move forward? We see that this project has had already some influence on the standard development. So clearly we would want to extend this expertise to potentially other formats in PDF industry. But here there are quite some challenges. So which formats were to go next? And as veraPDF was initially supported by PDF Association, we wanted to ask PDF Association members, what do you want veraPDF to do next? Well, there are a variety of choices here. So there can be validators for other parts of PDF standard. So we have a plugin mechanism that potentially could validate some other formats embedded into PDF, like more detailed font validation or more detailed image validation, for example, image compressions. Of course, there are ideas floating in there that veraPDF has to be integrated into other well-known systems used by memory institutions like Preservica or Juhu. Yeah, and well, we also still think about helping memory institutions to create their custom policies, although so far we haven't seen, as I mentioned, a lot of interest around this area, but maybe because we are not doing it very well, so more information is needed here. So this is a member survey, a PDF Association member survey that was conducted in December, well, at the end of 2017, beginning 2018. We got 45 responses, and yeah, we see that 90% of members, or at least the ones who responded, know what is veraPDF. And here is what they think about veraPDF. So the question was, irrespective of its impact on your business, do you feel veraPDF is useful to the PDF industry? And we see that on the scale 1 to 10, where 10 is exceptionally useful, we clearly have a pike around 8, and in general, only two responses below 4, and 3 below 5. So this gives us hope that our work was done, so was beneficial not just for memory institutions, but PDF to PDF industry in general. And this is what members of PDF Association suggest veraPDF to do next. We see that there is almost an equilibrium between full ISO 32K validation and PDF A4 standard, which is not published yet, where next go PDF UA, and again 32K. Well, if we combine 32K part 1 and part 2, we would have clear pike here. So this means that what PDF industry wants is a full PDF validation. We also wanted to have feedback from memory institutions, and we are glad to partner with Open Preservation Foundation, so Martin will speak more about this. The feedback, while a bit limited, that was coming to us is very interesting. So first of all, there are talks on memory institution conferences, and IPRESS is one of the major ones in this domain, is that PDF-A is not actually sufficient for long-term preservation, and maybe preserving structured information is needed, which means that PDF-UA format would become more and more important. And I cite here that so future steps would require data producers to implement workflows that adhere to the Matterhorn protocol to assure fully meaningful tagged PDFs, including MassML formulas, semantically tagged data, and so on, and to provide actual tags for every textual information contained in the PDF that is not easily extractable otherwise. That's an exact citation here, and I think many PDF developers would love this, to see on a very precise statement from a non-PDF expert. GHOF community also is actively looking at veraPDF and trying to see whether veraPDF can replace GHOF here. And one of the concerns is that unlike GHOF, veraPDF doesn't do any PDF validation, only PDFA validation. So they're actively looking for something that does also PDF validation, at least on the syntax level. And their point of view is that so far there is no product like that available. And GHOF at least does something in this area. So this means that if there is a hope that veraPDF replaces GHOF completely in the domain of PDF validation, there should be extra work in this domain, like syntax checks of PDF documents. So in short, and this is my last slide here, so veraPDF became a very interesting partnership between industry and memory, PDF industry and memory institutions, which already covered some gap between these two large communities. So at least there is some tool now so that memory institutions can use and rely on expertise of the experts from the PDF community. And of course, our goal is to grow this community of veraPDF users further, which would help us to cover even more gaps in this domain. Yeah, so I'm passing now the floor to Martin Wrigley, the director of Open Preservation Foundation.
Thank you, Boris. And if I can have the clicker, that'd be grand. Let's see where we go. Okay, so my name is Martin Wrigley from the Open Preservation Foundation. How many of you here know about the Open Preservation Foundation? You put your hands up if you've heard of us before. A few, that's good, excellent. I know there's some members in the audience as well, which is great. We are a not-for-profit global membership association, and we ourselves came out of a European project. Boris raised the question, does a project that finishes its funding from a European program die? The answer is, unless there's something like the Open Preservation Foundation, yes it does, but happily we are here and we have picked up veraPDF. So veraPDF, and I have to say thank you to Boris, and I have to say thank you to Duff Johnson as well, because without them and Carl from OPF, veraPDF would not be where it is today, and it's very much their work that we're taking forward. Personally, I'm quite new to the Open Preservation Foundation, so I can't claim any of the credit for the history of it. That's largely down to Boris. But our job now is to steward the good work that they've done, to take it forward and keep it available for the industry, for the community. We produce open source tools. Everything that we do is open source. We charge nobody anything to use the stuff that we produce. Nothing, not a bit. All of our funding comes from membership and from projects that we do that people pay for. So my basic message to you today is if you want to use veraPDF, and we know that there were some 1,300 downloads in the last 5 months of the first version, and since last week there have been nearly 800 downloads of the new version in a week. That's not bad, I think. If you want it to be there and you want it to continue, you need to join OPF. So I'm going to be unashamed. I want new members from this audience, please. And if I don't walk away with 2 or 3 new members, I'll consider today a failure. We look after not only veraPDF, but also Jove and a whole load more. We have a reference tool set that is useful for validating all sorts of files. So if you're looking for validation for JPEG or for PDF or for TIFF or for anything else, you can come and look and see what we've got. I see what you mean about pointing to the computer. There we go. We have a vision and a mission. Our vision, quite straightforward. Open, sustainable digital preservation. We had more words in it, and we argued about the extra words, and we just pared it down until we got very simple. We like simple visions. And our mission is slightly more complicated, but it's all about producing open source tools that people can use and making sure they are sustainable. One of the things I really love about veraPDF is that not only did it produce a fabulous tool that worked in association with the PDF Association and industry and the technical working group, so all of that questions that you always get in developing things were worked out and have been fed back into the standards, it also produced a really valuable body of test information. The test corpus that we produce, and again, open source along with the tool, allow you to test your processes, whatever tool you're using. Even if you're not using veraPDF, you can still use that to find out if your validation process can actually detect all of the error cases that are built into this test corpus. So we have a set of tools that we maintain and we push forward. So I'm not going to be very long because I know coffee is calling. Point at the box. Members. So we have a good set of members. You'll find in here we have some of the most prestigious libraries and archives. We have vendors in here. We have all sorts in here. Happily, the International Atomic Energy Authority is our latest new member. They joined us a couple of months ago, which is really nice. The National Archives in the UK have joined us. The British Library are members. KB, desperately trying to remember all of them there. It's really difficult to remember them all. You name it, they're in there. And if you're not, you should be. Go on. Oh, two to mention, Yale University have joined us relatively recently. And you might see the University of North Carolina. That's all to do with the association work that we do with the Bit Curator environment, which we also work on. So some of you may be familiar with that. So I think you're beginning to see that we have our fingers in a lot of the critical tools used across the industry. We have a process. And you can see we follow this process for there's 4 of our main sort of tools there. FIDO is a file identification tool, a bit like Droid. JPolyzer is a JPEG 2000 validator. I'm not going to talk in detail to those. First thing on the top, every project needs some funding. I'm unashamedly asking for funding. You can give us some money. Donations are always welcome. Membership is even more so. Because with membership, not only do we get your membership funds, we get your advice and your expertise. And what we want to do is make sure these tools answer your needs. And unless we get the advice from members as to what to do next, Boris showed us a list of things, and I loved that long list that went from ISO 32000 all the way down to we hate veraPDF. I thought that was great. Whoever put that on the survey, I'm not sure. It was probably Duff, wasn't it? I'm sure it was Duff. Thankfully, not many people said we hate veraPDF. So we need your guidance, we need your advice, we need your input as to where we're going with this. So we have a process where we go through planning, we have product boards. The Jove product board is currently our most dynamic at the moment, but we are building a veraPDF product board. And if you want to be part of where veraPDF goes next, then join us. Are you counting how many times I'm saying join us? I think you are. Then we go for development and testing. All of it is done through GitHub, open source work. If you're a vendor and you want to participate, you want to leverage what other people are doing in terms of developing this part of your tool, then join us. Contribute in terms of development effort. It's not just money we need. A lot of final testing and releasing, and that's part where OPF will unashamedly take the lead. We will make sure that we put all of these tools through a very robust testing process before they go out there. This is one of the commitments we make to our members, that we won't let anything out in our name that isn't to the standard that they expect from us. And of course, driving it all and driving the next version is the requirements and feedback and all the rest of it. And I think my final slide is an example of the roadmap that we've created for Jove. Now, we're in the process of doing one for Vera, so I can't show that to you yet. But this is our Jove roadmap, which will be validated at our AGM at the end of the month, which is open to members. And if you want to come along, it's not too late to join. Which shows how with Jove, we're aiming to do 2 major releases a year. We have a number of different things we're doing in the program. I'm not expecting you to read the details of this. It's just an example to show that we have documented roadmaps and documented processes for getting your requirements in place, getting what's important to the community that use the tool in place, and making sure they happen. Variety of different things with bug fixes. Boris talked about the bug fixes through GitHub, major features, a lot of testing in QA, some maintenance. Very often you need to do some work to update the Java version, to change around the latest ways of using the right Java libraries, whatever it may be. So that's some of the things that we're doing with Jove, and you can see the different releases there going through. So you've got a planned set of releases, a planned set of functionality that you can rely on appearing at certain times. And I think we move on to a list of resources for you next. Yes. So I don't know if these slides get put up anywhere, but here's a list of places that you can go and find out more about the various different bits and pieces. And Boris, if you could hold up that little leaflet there, that's the one. So we've got some leaflets like this that I'll put out in the lobby if you want to find out more about OPF, the Open Preservation Foundation. And if you want to join, come and see me later. And I think we're on to any questions. Thank you. Any questions? There must be some. First question should be, where can I join? To join, you go to the openpreservation.org. Easy. Yes. How much? Well, that's variable. It depends on the size of your organization, but it's very affordable, and it can either be in terms of effort, if you are effort-rich and cash-poor, or it can be in terms of cash if you are the other way around, which is unusual these days, but very welcome. But it's very affordable for what you get out of it.